Okay, now let's come to the next thing that we want to talk about. Just in case that you don't have any actual sales that you want to forecast, so you just have like a new product and you want to estimate, how your new product can be sold. Before that, let me just go into the, some of the information that I want to talk about first. So we want to use the BAS model to forecast, new product sales that you have no information about previous sales at all. This is the DirecTV example. DirecTV is kind of like True Vision, where they sell like TV programs for like a cost per month. This is really popular. It used to be really popular in the US for like 10, 20 years ago. Um, so the company tried to collect some information. The information that the company has collected are as follows. So they have estimated that 32% of the customers intended to purchase the product. Intended to doesn't mean they have to pay, but they are interested in the product. 13 of them can pay for it. They have enough money to pay for it. They can afford it. 35% of the customers have access to the product. Having access meaning that since it's like a TV program, that the company has to set up some infrastructure. So in some areas, even though you have the TV, doesn't mean that you can get the service from DirecTV. Like for example, if you are a tribe living up high in the mountain, then you might not have access to the product. So they have estimated that 65% of those can have access to the product. Some more information. They know that 95 million people, 95 million TV. There are in total 95 million TV households in the US. And this is really interesting. They have estimated a parameter K, and this K actually came from a literature. So, I don't really come up on it on my own, but I just use it from the book. And this is the estimation of the actual proportion that will actually buy the product in a year. So this estimation is really interesting because you can use it to try to estimate the number of customers who will really gonna buy your product. So by knowing this, let's go into the Excel sheet. In this sheet that I want to talk about, the first thing that I want to mention is that in the gray area, these are the ones that we already knew the value. It's the ones that we already input the information. So for example, we know that 13% of the customers can afford the product DirecTV. There are 65% that can have access to the product. 32% have the intention to buy the product. So these values came from these values, okay? And then later on, we also know that there are 95 million TV households. So this is also an input for the program too. Oh, and these two P and Q, actually these two value, they came from a literature. So it's like somebody else have estimated the value for us. P is 0.059 and Q is 0.1463. So we'll use these two values regardless of for any problems that we are tackling with. The only one that we don't know is the N bar, but we can use our Excel to find the N bar later on, which I will show you how to do it. Okay, now once we input all the model parameter, the first thing that we want to calculate is the actual purchase. And this actual purchase, if you take a look at this, this formula actually came from, the estimation of the K parameter, which is the estimation of the actual purchase, actual proportion. So this is, the formula is, it's like minus this is the minus sign. I have to stress it out. Minus, so it's minus 0.899 plus the 4% times 1.234 plus the available percentage times 1.203. So if you go back to the formula, here it's minus 0.899 times 0.13, which is, this is the affordable percentage, and then times the constant plus the constant times the availability factor. So you have that. And you also want to know about, you know that 32% of the customers are intended to buy your product, and actually only 0.04337 will actually buy your product. So the fraction of those who are actually will buy your product is the product of these two numbers. So you just, you know, multiply these two fractions together. And finally, you can have the predicted number of buying per year, by multiplying the fraction of the people who will buy the product times the total market size. So you know that about 1.32 million customers are going to buy your product. Now we want to do time in months. So in order to do it in months, this is just 1/12 months. The next month is just, you know, this first month plus 1 divided by 12, and this is just going to be the previous month plus 1 divided by 12. So if you go up until 12 months, this is going to be 1 year in cell E19. Okay, and now we want to calculate actually I need to delete this up. Well, I don't have to delete it, but I'm just going to show you how to do it. We want to calculate the actual sales per month by using the BAS model. So, you know, we just plug in the formula for the BAS model. So this is the formula for the BAS model, basically. So it's P times N bar minus G7, which is the cumulative sales, plus Q times, you know, G7 times N bar minus G7 divided by N bar. So the one that I highlighted came from the BAS model formula. And this formula is for 1 year of sales, so I need to multiply it with 1/12. And now I also want to calculate the cumulative sales. So in order to do that, this is just the previous year plus the sales from the current year, and enter. So this is pretty much the cumulative sales for the sheet. And now I told you earlier that, you know, let's first assume that we don't know the value of N bar. So let's just assume that N bar, without knowing anything, is 100. So if you take a look at 1 year here, at a year, you have estimated that, you know, the predicted number of buying in the first year has to be about 1.32 million customers. But now you have estimated it to be 6.125. So this is too much. So we want to make this to be as close, make the number in cell G19 to be as close as the number in cell A13. So in order to do that, we can do goal seek. We can use the goal seek. So let me just write it down so you guys can take a look. I'm sorry. Hang on. So here we are going to use goal seek. Okay. So in order to do that, you're gonna go to the what if analysis. So let me just go into the what if analysis. It's in the data, I think. Yeah. So it's in the data. Go to what if analysis, and then select goal seek. Okay. The set cell is going to be the cell G19. You want it to be the same as this one. 1.32, so we just have to put in 1.32. And you want to change the cell N bar, so you just select N bar. You click OK. Now, it's done. Then yeah, you can seek N bar so that this value is equal to 1.32. So now everything is finished and you have a pretty good estimate for the actual cell, even though you don't know anything or you don't have historical information about the sales of this product yet. Okay, let me just do the eraser here. So this is another way, or as mentioned earlier, BAS model can be used to predict the sales volumes of the new product. But with note though that the thing that you have to have is this information right here. You should know P and Q, but we already knew this value from literature. So you assume that you can use this. You also need the information about the fraction in cell B1 to B3, and you also need to know the market size. So if you have those information, then you can use BAS model to do the calculation for you, okay? All right, so I'm just gonna pause this, stop this